March the 3rd, 2019. Good morning and welcome to another edition of Community Issues. I'm your host, Omar Rashida. March is Women's History Month, and I have two extraordinary females going to be interviewing today's show. My first female, she's no stranger to the community, and everybody knows her, Sister LaVeda White. Good morning.
Thank you for having me.
All right, okay. Partnership with Healthy Communities. You've been involved with that organization for quite some time. I see you at different community events where
Yes.
you're reading them blood pressures. You make sure everybody get their blood pressure together. But talk about what is the partnership with Healthy Communities?
Well, it's a program or an initiative out of the University of Delaware that wants to engage the community at large in providing healthy communities and healthy neighborhoods. And so they're looking at trying to build the capacity of the university to do more research in health care areas, to build the nursing department up and all the medical physical therapies departments that they have there.
Okay.
And also just to inform the public of how they could better take care of themselves and how to just connect with resources that are in the community.
Right, right. When we talk about resources in the community, one of the things that you've been participating in, I don't know how long it's been, but the Wilmington Wellness Day, I remember when it was at Rodney Square, and just maybe 2 years ago, it started, the Wilmington Planning Committee decided to bring it into the communities. It was at the William Hicks Anderson Community Center, and last year it was at the Herman Holloway Park on the east side, Lombard Street, a block down from my grandmother's house. But so talk about the significance of why it's important that we bring such events to the community.
It's been 16 years since we started with the Wilmington. It's a citywide event that tries to, and one of the reasons that we started trying to move it around the community was because mainly it was at Rodney Square, and we did have good attendance, but towards the end, the attendance started dropping off. So we wanted to reach people where they were, so we went to the community where people are, and we're trying to move it around to different parts of the city, so that individuals who may have transportation issues would be able to enjoy some of the events that are taking place during Wilmington Wellness Day.
Right. So do you guys have in mind where you want to take it at for this year?
We're still in the planning stage. The mayor is we're expanding our membership on the Health Planning Council. The mayor is inviting some different people. City Council is involved in participating in the Wilmington Health Planning Council. So we haven't convened officially yet until the mayor finishes his invitations out to the public.
Now, prior to the program, you and I were talking about what your role was involved in the organization, the committee, and you work with prevention. So when we look at the prevention, I'm looking at HIV, I'm looking at substance abuse, I'm looking at violence. Are those some of the issues that you tackle in terms of being a prevention coordinator?
Absolutely. Some time ago, back in 2018, our Lieutenant Governor convened some of the community around behavioral health. And so there's a consortium now around behavioral health, and we have the Healthy Neighborhoods, Healthy Communities initiative going on. So I try to be at all those meetings and planning circles so that I could bring back and keep the community informed on what's going on and provide a perspective from the view of the African American community.
Right. You're very involved with the church. I remember we used to have Kwanzaa at Christ Star King Church.
Yes,
and I think was it the Brandywine Church?
It's Brandywine Community Church.
Right.
I'm part of the Ninth Ward Interfaith Clergy Coalition, which includes 5 churches and 2 synagogues, working in the Ninth Ward area, basically 19802 zip code area.
Okay, got you.
So I am housed at Brandywine Community Church, and we're trying to outreach to the community to provide them with the resources that they need. And I know that we have some social workers in the libraries, and we're trying to give people the resources that they need, but sometimes people don't always access those resources. So being at the church where we have a food closet the second and fourth Friday of every month,
Right.
people come through and with their needs and concerns, and being there, I am able to help them. I am a faith community nurse, and so the spiritual part component is very key to what I do. I feel that we are operating in a soul sick society
Right.
because of all the substance abuse and drug addiction that we have.
Right.
So on the behavioral health consortium, I serve on the education and prevention committee. So we're trying to outreach and do what we can to resolve some of the issues that are in the community.
And it's very good to see some of our religious institutions that's involved with such an initiative, but also looking at the 19802 zip code, you got the Powell Center, you got the Kingswood Community Center, not too far you have the Wilmington Senior Center, so I think the community
And Lutheran
centers...
community services as well.
Right, so I think the community centers are just as valuable to have such things.
And so I am not static in the Brandywine Community Church office. I'm out and about, and so I'm able to connect with the different agencies in the 19802 to try and connect the dots. We're trying to break down the silos that exist and try to let the right hand know what the left hand is doing.
Definitely. And when we talk about partnership with healthy communities, we're not only talking about from a medical or physical standpoint, but you have housing, you have economics. You want to elaborate on that?
Well, one of the initiatives of the Partnership for Healthy Communities do aim at trying to close the gap, because we know that healthcare just don't take place in the doctor's office. It takes place with access to healthcare services, recreational and social opportunities, employment, public transportation, and just affordable quality housing, which I believe St. Francis Hospital is addressing, putting up some funds into the housing network.
And also,
so we're looking at now that we need not all the institutions, but we need people, the people who are most affected by the adverse health conditions that we're exposed to. So we need each and every one to try and engage and take part. We have to think about things like our own responsibility for health. We have to think about climate change. We have to think about all the various
environmental
components of what it takes to live on God's planet.
Right, and also you have my thing on there, arts and culture. I love
arts. Yes. I was sorry, I didn't mention. I'm glad you brought that up.
But more top of the program, I said this is in honor of Women's History Month
and Women's Health Month.
Women's
Yeah, Men's Health Month.
Okay, but going back to the Women's History Month, there are a lot of women who made sacrifices in this community throughout the history of the United States of America and abroad. You, for example, you've been, since I first known you, I guess maybe late 90s, early 2000s, I can't remember, but you've been heavily involved in the community. So as a woman, what prompted you to be involved in the community, and who are some of the females, it could be locally, nationally, or worldwide, that you admire?
Well, I am a natural caregiver. I'm the oldest of 11 children, so I think I was groomed from childhood to be concerned about the health of others. And of course, coming from a religious family, the spirituality was part of what we do to serve a God that we cannot see. So some of the people that I've been exposed to, starting with my own family members, my mother, my aunts. My aunts were teachers. And so we've always been prompted to look at our civic responsibility and what we owe, not just to ourselves and our own families, but to the community at large. And so some of my earliest history, being that I belong to Tau Eta chapter of Chi Eta Phi Sorority Incorporated.
There you go.
That one of my earliest histories was Harriet Tubman, she was a nurse.
Oh wow. Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Mary Eliza Mahoney, she's a nurse.
Okay.
Claire, we have Sojourner Truth. We have
Oh
all
wow.
those ancient um, uh, nurses that came
Right.
before us and
Definitely.
paved the way for us. And so in today's society, we have so many women that are doing great things to promote the health of our community. So I'm just a follower.
just keeping it going.
I'm a follower.
Okay, you mentioned sorority, and the sororities that you're having involved with right now, and they're having an upcoming event.
Yes, we have coming in April 15th to the 19th, our regional conference will be at Dover Downs, and we will be providing some continuing education for nurses, and we're inviting nurses and their family members to come out and join us. We have some good educational events and some entertainment that we can offer from April 15th to the 19th.
Oh, okay.
So if you're interested, your nurse and or family member would like to come, contact me at 302-547-3227, 547-3227.
Okay, so we have about a minute remaining in this segment. Any other closing words you want to express to the community?
Just that I would really like, if you are interested in serving in the health of your congregation, your community, again, contact me, because I can help you establish a health ministry that will address the concerns of your congregation. We have so many different things that different people are suffering from, and we're looking at diabetes and chronic disease, and how to manage our cancer and our pain even. We're working with a substance abuse issue here in Delaware, and so some of the things that lead up to an addiction can be prevented. And so I have some information that I would love to share, but I think the main thing is, if you're interested in the health of your congregation, your temple, your synagogue, please contact me and I can help that get established.
Okay, on that note, thank you once again for coming on this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it so
Okay.
much.
All right, live right here on Lisa Access Channel 28. You're watching Community Issues. I'm going to take a short break, and I'll return with my next guest. Welcome back. I'm your host, Omar Rashad. Now joining me live. She's back once again. We had Rochelle Wilson. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay.
How are you?
Make
Thank
some
you
noise.
so much.
Yes, make some noise. Prison reform system. You were here a couple months ago, and now we're back for an update. But for those who may have missed that show, just to give a brief summary of what's the organization about and what do you do?
All right, I definitely appreciate being here. Thank you for giving me a voice a second time.
Okay.
But before I get into that really quick, I just want to feed off of what the Queen Mother said earlier. First of all, she's beautiful,
Right.
and I honor her. But the program that she's running, I like the way, I like the way she's doing that, and I think folks should get involved.
Right.
But the best thing she said was, I ain't no static.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely. Keep it going.
She's out there moving and shaking,
Definitely,
so
definitely.
I really can respect
Well,
that.
we know
and
she
appreciate
she
that.
retired from her job and she works harder now than she did when she was
Yeah, I feel kind of like I relate to that.
Right, definitely.
So Make Some Noise Prison Reform Movement is all about making enough noise. If my mother was a country woman, and she said, if you stir it up, it'll start to stink. And yeah, so if I make enough noise and shake enough bells, the dust in the carpet's going to rise. And that's all that I really, really want to do is, I'm not a politician.
Right.
I'm not a policymaker. I don't even know all of the language of politicians and the people who can make the differences and the changes. But if I put a fire under their tail, they'll move. And so that's what Make Some Noise Prison Reform Movement is all about, is getting the fire underneath of the people who can make a difference and getting them to make the difference.
Right. So I remember some of the things that you mentioned in some of your posts that you want individual counseling for those in prison, and then also there's been this thing that's talked about for years about why do you have nonviolent offenders in prison? So what is your stance on those two? Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to take the first one first.
Okay.
So if I can remember, that was a big question.
The counseling.
Yeah, I think that, my main platform has always been counseling and education. I'm a high school media journalism teacher. Children, that's what I do. I teach them, I life coach them. That's my life. So coming onto this platform, I couldn't think of anything else that would be more paramount to reduce recidivism, the rate of incarceration, and then to help the people while they're there. But really what got me started, and I'll always go back to this, it was my personal experience because my son is incarcerated.
Right.
And being the mother of an incarcerated son, having conversations with him where he is exposing to me information of what's happening on the inside of the prison, I realized that is a very important need. If you're locked behind a cage in a cell for 22 hours a day, that's enough to drive you crazy. You need some counseling.
Definitely.
But as the Queen Mother had said before about helping the community, I think that what she's doing, if I understood and appreciate what she said correctly, she is preventive maintenance before they even get into the prison.
Definitely.
She's trying to help them because a lot of people in prison shouldn't be in prison. They need to be, I don't know if it's mental health institutions or they just need counseling. So I feel that counseling and education is going to cut down on prison incarceration, mass incarceration. It's going to reform the criminal justice system because it'll hold judges accountable to that. And of course, once you're in there, you need counseling. It would drive me crazy, and I know what it's doing to my son.
And one of the things that we touched on this in part one was that once they get out of prison, it's hard for them to get jobs and housing because people look at their criminal record, they're denied housing, they're denied employment. So I'm quite sure you're also fighting for that too.
Well, I'm getting to, and I don't want anyone to take this wrong, it's chess, it's not checkers, okay? So I play chess, and I'm very familiar with what each of the pieces on the board can do. My ego would like to believe that I'm the queen on the board. So I'm going to move all of the other pieces, and where I'm at right now is I'm meeting the other people who are the policymakers, who can get something done. I've been to the town hall with Governor Carney, town hall with Attorney General Kathy Jennings. They seem like really wonderful people. I've had an opportunity to chat with them briefly and have some conversations with them with a smile on our face. But this is beyond just being sociable and chatting. We've got to get some work done. So at the last town hall meeting with Attorney General and with Governor Carney, I stood up and I spoke up. Governor Carney then directed me to speak to the commissioner of the Department of Corrections, Mr. Perry Phelps,
Right.
to get on a committee. This is what I said to the governor. Let's have committees, community-based committees of people like you and me, Omar, to kind of, I don't want to say oversight because that's so intrusive, a care committee where community-based people, you, me, and the grandmother, we can watch and see what are people like Commissioner Phelps doing? What are the attorney generals doing? The prosecutors? I mean, there's so much information, but who's going to do the checks and balances? We need the community to do it.
Right.
And so that's what I'm standing up for.
Now, in this movement, have you reached out to some of the local politicians, like state senators, state representatives, city council people? Or,
That conversation that I had with Commissioner Perry Phelps from the Department of Corrections then led me to his right-hand aide, Joanna Champney, who sent me to Senator Darius Brown, Senator Elizabeth Lockman, and of course I've already had a conversation with some other folks from the House of Representatives, and you know, I'm learning the people on the board. I'm finding out who's who and who can do what. And then I'm reaching out and I'm connecting with these people and saying, let's get the committee started. When I first started my journey in prison reform movement, I went to a group of people who were very prominent. They showed me some of the ropes of how to do some things. So obviously I went back to them and said, hey, you're the people that I know. Can we get a committee started? Can we get community-based committees? That's almost 3 months ago and I still haven't heard from them. And so I don't know if people are taking me seriously or they think I'm a joke, but I assure you I'm not joking. I'm not playing.
And when last time you were here, we were talking about the issue of some of the inmates being transferred to Pennsylvania. Has that happened?
Yes. Well, that same group of people that I originally started my journey with, we formed a letter to get out to the Department of Corrections saying that we were against anti-transfer. Just let the people who want to go, let them go, and leave the other ones that, with our loved ones, let them remain with us. By the time they got the letter out and sent it, the transfers were all over.
Wow.
So again, I went to that committee, that organization, and said, let's get the community-based organization together and do oversight. Let's get a care committee. I said the same thing to Attorney General Kathy Jennings, and I believe she heard me. So I'm reaching out to those people. I've sent them an email, and I am waiting for a response. You know, I'm trying to be very polite and very, you know, politically correct, but I'm a fire sign, so I can go to 0 to 100 real quick, like that.
Okay, I see. Okay, so I'm going to ask you the same question. We have 2.5 minutes remaining. The same question that I asked the Queen Mother. You've been involved in African rights and passions, so many different things. What made you as a woman want to be involved in the community? Who you admire, and how can people contact you with the prison reform movement?
If anyone is interested in getting involved to stand with me, please go to the website, Make Some Noise, Prison Reform Movement. When you type it in, when you key it in, it's going to be msnprisonreform.com. So that's how you reach me, and you can send me an email. I'm on Facebook. Go to Rochelle Wilson. It's very easy. And yes, going back to one question, I know we only have a few seconds left. Let's get our sick and our elders, let's get them out of the prison. We make some room, folks can get some educational programming going. The first thing that comes to my mind is Michelle Obama, but I'll take it to a greater level because there's so many beautiful women that I can admire and honor, and I do. But I think my favorite story as a journalist would have to be Oprah Winfrey. I honor her because it was a television station that told her once, because of her blackness and her kinky hair, she would never make it in journalism. And
she proved them all wrong.
I think the story speaks for itself, so I think I admire her the most. She gives me inspiration.
Okay, you want to see your email one more time before we close out?
Yes, please. It would be Make Some Noise, Prison Reform Movement at msnprisonreform.com. And of course, if you can get to Facebook, just friend me or instant message me on Facebook.
All right, Rochelle. So this is part 2. So I know you said, oh, boy, you got to bring me on for part 3 and part 4. So
Yes, yes.
Okay,
I'd like
so
to
thank you for
keep
coming
you
on.
updated, keep
All right,
the folks
definitely.
updated.
And thank you for tuning in to another edition of Community Issues. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Peace.